Which of the following would be the best definition of ego strength? A. The sense of identity in conflict with the environment. B. The overall power of one's self-esteem. C. The interactive ability of one's consciousness. D. The ability to deal with psychodynamic and environmental conflict. D. The ability to deal with psychodynamic and environmental conflict. Ego strength is a term taken from the school of psychodynamic theory, which suggests that much personal conflict arises from the conflict between inner states. The ego in this case refers to the self that is consciously navigating the environment while managing inner psychodynamic conflict. Ego strength does not refer to identity in conflict per se, nor does it mainly deal with self-esteem. It refers to more than interactive ability. Which of the following phenomena has to do with having an empathic relationship with a client's negative life circumstances? A. Compassion fatigue. B. Secondary trauma. C. Burnout. D. Parallel process. B. Secondary trauma. Secondary trauma is the result of a practitioner's empathic relationship with a client's negative life circumstances and can result in symptoms such as sleeplessness, concentration problems, and avoidance. Burnout has more to do with the experience of high amounts of effort spent on behalf of clients who may show little apparent progress. Compassion fatigue combines the features of both secondary trauma and burnout. Parallel process is the therapeutic phenomenon whereby a practitioner over-identifies with the circumstances of their client. Which of the following classes of medications is most commonly used to treat schizophrenia? A. Antipsychotics. B. Selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. C. Stimulants. D. Benzodiazepines. A. Antipsychotics. Schizophrenia is a thought disorder characterized by symptoms such as hallucinations, disorganized thinking, delusions, and false beliefs. Antipsychotic medications such as Zyprexa and clozapine target these symptoms to alleviate cognitive disturbances and help those with schizophrenia function more normally. Stimulants are used to treat attention deficit/hyperactivity disorder and related attention problems. Benzodiazepines are anti-anxiety medications that provide short-term relief for those suffering from intense symptoms of anxiety. Selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors (SSRI) are most commonly prescribed to treat depression by changing an individual's level of serotonin, a neurotransmitter in the brain that affects mood. Which of the following operant techniques relies on removing a negative to increase behavior? A. Positive punishment. B. Negative reinforcement. C. Positive reinforcement. D. Negative punishment. B. Negative reinforcement. Negative reinforcement relies on the removal of aversive, negative punishment to reward positive behavior. The other operant techniques rely on different approaches to shaping behavior. Positive punishment involves presenting an unfavorable outcome or event following an undesirable behavior. Positive reinforcement involves the addition of a reinforcing stimulus following a behavior that makes it more likely that the behavior will occur again in the future. Negative punishment involves taking something good or desirable away to reduce the occurrence of a particular behavior. Which of the following is an example of recommended nonverbal communication? A. Eyes at the same level as the client's. B. Tightly folded arms. C. Avoidance of eye contact. D. Pointing finger for emphasis. A. Eyes at the same level as the client's. Nonverbal communication is just as important as the words a social worker uses when meeting with a client. By being careful to keep their eyes at the same level as the client's, the social worker is placing yourself in a position of equality with the client. Rather than avoiding eye contact, social workers should attempt to make direct eye contact except when culturally prescribed. Instead of tightly folded arms or using a pointed finger for emphasis, the social worker should assume a relaxed but assertive posture and should use moderately expressive gestures with the hands. Which of the following substances has the highest probability of death as a result of detoxification/withdrawal without close medical supervision? A. Alcohol. B. Methamphetamine. C. Cocaine. D. Heroin. A. Alcohol. Of the drugs listed, alcohol has by far the highest rate of detoxification-related mortality. Withdrawal can have life-threatening complications. While withdrawal from a number of drugs may be marked by high levels of physical and psychic distress/pain of the drugs listed here, alcohol is the most probable to have life-threatening withdrawal-related complications. Mr. Bell is working with his client Lil Baby Chains, who is engaged in a criminal enterprise. In trying to figure out how to handle the ethical conflict according to the steps outlined in the NASW Code of Ethics, what should Mr. Bell do first? A. Weigh the issues according to social work values. B. Determine the presence of a dilemma. C. Suggest modifications in light of social work values. D. Identify the compromised ethical standards. D. Identify the compromised ethical standards. The first step in ethical problem solving according to the NASW Code of Ethics is to identify the ethical standards that might be compromised. Then one will need to determine whether a dilemma exists, followed by weighing the issues according to the NASW Code of Ethics. Suggestions and modifications will follow in light of the values in conflict, and then the situation will need to be monitored for further ethical issues. You are a social worker meeting with a family consisting of two parents, a 15-year-old daughter, and a 9-year-old son. The 15-year-old girl has recently been skipping school, smoking marijuana, and sneaking out of the house past curfew. Using the family systems theory, what is one reason the girl might be engaging in these behaviors? A. She has unresolved conflict from early childhood. B. She is suffering from early onset schizophrenia. C. She is entering a normal phase of adolescent development. D. She is making herself a distraction from conflict occurring between the parents. D. She is making herself a distraction from conflict occurring between the parents. The family systems theory regards the family as an interwoven network of relationships, all of which work together in various ways. By engaging in antisocial behaviors, the teenager may, consciously or unconsciously, be attempting to distract her parents from the conflicts they are experiencing with each other. The psychoanalytical perspective posits that individuals' problems result from unresolved conflict from early childhood. While some testing of limits and defiance of authority is normal for teenagers, this is not based on the family systems theory. Schizophrenia is a serious thought disorder characterized by hallucinations and disorganized thinking, which the girl is not. Which of the following is the type of program evaluation which determines the financial outlay of a program in relation to its fiscal benefits? A. Cost-benefit ratio. B. Cost-effectiveness analysis. C. Outcome assessment. D. Cost-benefit analysis. D. Cost-benefit analysis. There are many types of analysis available to those interested in determining the utility and effectiveness of programs. A cost-benefit analysis explicitly addresses the balance of expense and fiscal benefit. A cost-effectiveness analysis tells the examiner about benefits not measured in monetary terms, such as lives saved, that will not equate to a specific fiscal measure on a balance sheet. The cost-benefit ratio is one measure of this analysis. An outcome assessment is one in which the final result of a program is evaluated according to whether it has achieved its goals or not.
A couple convicted of physically and emotionally abusing their biological children has been assigned to a social worker for therapy. The primary responsibility of the social worker during the initial session is to A. Investigate the reasons why the couple may have engaged in such unacceptable behavior. B. Talk with the couple about their concerns and sentiments for being referred to treatment. C. Determine their motivation for treatment and whether or not the children should be returned to their parents. D. Assist the couple in accepting full responsibility for their conduct. B. Talk with the couple about their concerns and sentiments for being referred to treatment. Even if the social worker disagrees with the family's actions, the social worker's first goal is to build a collaborating relationship with the family. The social worker should also gain insight about the family's feelings to being referred for services, which may include hostility or animosity against the intervening party. The main focus of the initial session for the social worker is not to push the couple to take responsibility for their behavior. If the social worker attempted to do so right away, he or she risked jeopardizing the couple's ability to have a positive relationship. It is too soon to decide if the children should return home, and the social worker should wait until he or she has built a strong relationship with the couple before investigating the reasons for their behavior.